This is Nasha Kasha, Ukrainian Almanac, 28 minutes of stories about Ukrainian life. I'm your reporter, Stefan Andrusiak. On today's program, we'll celebrate January 7th, which is widely known as Ukrainian Christmas. And we'll travel to Winnipeg to feature two of Canada's preeminent choirs, Hoosli and Koshetz. January 7th celebrates the birth of Jesus according to the Julian calendar. That calendar was established under Julius Caesar in 45 BC, and so it was until 1582 when Pope Gregory's calendar shifted Christmas to December 25th. It's the same feast, it just takes 13 days for those observing the original Julian calendar to catch up. There are benefits to waiting, of course. I recall as a child staying home from school. 12 meatless dishes on Christmas Eve in honor of the 12 apostles. Most of all, I learned young that it's okay to be different, not part of the crowd, and, by extension, to also honor others who are different. Here's a Ukrainian Christmas carol I'd like you to hear. Its melody was composed by Montrealer Oksana Senkyu. I found it on a CD that was included in Oksana's recently published book, Мистецтво українців в Quebecu, The Art of Ukrainians in Quebec. The performers are Oksana Senkyu, Oksana Kotskovich, Father Volodymyr Kushnir, and the late Father Oleg Koretsky, who died in 2013. The words are traditional, and it's about the very first Christmas.
Yeah.
Prosvita Institute stands at 777 Pritchard Avenue in Winnipeg. Now, Prosvita means enlightenment, and it was formed in 1868 in the western region of Ukraine. It lit the Ukrainian spirit by developing language, opening reading rooms, hosting meetings, and encouraging traditions. In 1916, Prosvita took root and flourished in Canada. Reading libraries, dance groups, and choirs sprouted. On this night, chairs in a basement hall are being rearranged. Prosvita is the venue for a board of directors meeting for Canada's Ukrainian men's chorus, Hoosli.
My name is Christopher Sklepovich, and I am the chair of the board of directors of Hoosli Ukrainian male chorus in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So my story actually starts a little bit northwest of Winnipeg in a town called Dauphin. Growing up being a big part of Ukrainian Festival was a big part of my life. My father was on the board of directors for a number of years, the president for several. Growing up in that environment every summer, I was exposed to virtually every Ukrainian performing group that Canada and even North America and even the world had to offer. One of those was Hoosli Ukrainian male chorus from Winnipeg. Hoosli always stood out as the group that I would most like to be a part of. They embodied the biggest part of the spirit that I thought spoke to me about Ukrainian culture.
What does that mean?
The Ukrainian people are a very musical people. Music has always united us. Music has always carried our story for generations and centuries. And to be part of a group that continues that tradition, keeps the songs of the past alive, and to preserve an art form that otherwise may start dying out was something that always very much appealed to me. Professionally, I work for Bell Canada. Interestingly, when you look at the professions of the membership of Hoosli Ukrainian male chorus, it spans a very wide range, all the way from university students to retirees, doctors, dentists, teachers. Virtually every profession one could think of, you'll find it represented in Hoosli.
You sing bass, baritone, tenor?
Second tenor.
Did you have to audition to become a member of Hoosli?
Absolutely. As much as we are a community choir, the Hoosli name has developed to become something that is of a caliber where we want to ensure that the talent continues to grow. And to do that, you have to bring in talented individuals.
What does Hoosli mean, and how did it begin?
The choir known as Hoosli Ukrainian male chorus originally began in 1969, was founded by a group of graduates of St. Vladimir's College in Roblin, Manitoba. Many of them were originally from Winnipeg, and so when they finished their high school time in Roblin, they moved back to Winnipeg, and they wanted to find a way to keep going with their Ukrainian culture. And we were actually formed as the St. Vladimir's College Alumni Choir. The members at the time reached back to renowned conductor Dr. Pavel Matsenko, who was their music teacher at St. Vladimir's College. And he suggested Hoosli, which is an ancient Ukrainian instrument, very similar to a zither. He recommended that as the name of the group. It was formalized in 1970, 1971, and it's become an institution in Winnipeg ever since. Our last album that we released in 2016 was our 10th recorded album. It was our second Christmas album, as well as in 2009 we released a full disc of the Divine Liturgy.
Does the Canadian landscape enter into the character of the songs at all?
Interestingly, in our last album, which is entitled Christmas Star in 2016, we only had one English song, but it was the Huron Carol, the one true Canadian Christmas carol, and we thought that that was very appropriate and a great opportunity for us to show our range and show our appreciation to the Canadian cultural community.
My name is Scott Chabluk. I'm from Oakbank, Manitoba, and I'm going into 5 years now with Hoosli.
Where is Oakbank, Manitoba?
Oakbank is about 15-20 minutes east of the city by Birds Hill Park, Cooks Creek area, out that way.
You were born in those parts?
Yeah, I'm actually the fifth generation of my family to be in Oakbank. We're heavily involved with the Immaculate Conception Church. My dad directed the choir there for 20-plus years. I've been doing it nearly 10 myself.
So you're knowledgeable in music.
I've got a very musical background, both in my family with country music, growing up around the bonfire with guitars singing, and also choral music. I sang barbershop for a number of years, and also, of course, Ukrainian choral music.
Hoosli, how did you intersect?
I had been enjoying listening to Hoosli my entire life. I had it on a huge pedestal because this was a phenomenal men's choir. And my cousin Billy has been a member for decades, one of the original type of members. And I used to listen to him, and both of his sons sing with it as well and have for quite some time. And I felt the time was right. I didn't grow up speaking Ukrainian, so I had to learn, and I'm still learning. I'm learning the alphabet myself. I didn't come in knowing the alphabet. I'm learning how to read Ukrainian as we go. I memorize what we're singing. What it sounds like.
So it's not phonetically on the page. You actually need to know how to read Cyrillic.
Yeah, you have to be able to read Cyrillic to be able to get this done. The phonetic language, we call it Ukringlish in Oakbank, that will write like Dobre Večer will be written Dobreyvechir and so on. So at first that's what I was doing, was having it translated or translating it myself to learn how to do it. Now I would say I'm probably about 80% comfortable with the Cyrillic alphabet, that I can piece it together and come up with it pretty well.
You said you had to hit the low notes. Are you a bass or a contrabass?
No, I'm actually a first tenor. So it's hard to tell with my speaking voice right now, but yeah, I'm one of the first tenors.
You know, a good choir needs good tenors.
Yeah, there's a really good mix here. There's a lot of really solid guys. The first tenor section is incredibly strong.
Well, tell me the difference between a first and a second tenor.
A first tenor usually has the melody in most times and gets some little solo points every now and then, whereas the second tenors are going to fill out the harmony range. The baritones as well are kind of filling the chord up, and then of course the basses are the percussion almost of the group and the foundation.
Thank you so much. This is Nasha Kasha, Ukrainian Almanac. We're based at CHRW 94.9 FM on the campus of Western University in London, Ontario, Canada. And we're heard as well on CHMR 93.5 FM in St. John's, Newfoundland, on CKDU 88.1 FM in Halifax, on Local 107.3 FM in St. John, New Brunswick, on CJLO 1690 AM in Montreal, on CFRC 101.9 FM in Kingston, on CFMU 93.3 FM in Hamilton, on CKMS 102.7 FM in Kitchener-Waterloo, on CKLU 96.7 FM in Sudbury, on CILU 102.7 FM in Thunder Bay, on 101.5 FM in Winnipeg, and on CFMQ 98.1 FM in Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan. The Ukrainian National Federation Hall, it's called UNO in Ukrainian, sits in the heart of Old Winnipeg, which is to say the heart of Ukrainian Winnipeg. Down 2 flights of stairs from the street entrance in a practice hall, a tall man is opening what I can only describe as a lockbox built around a stand-up piano. It will be at the heart of a Christmas concert rehearsal on this night.
My name is Scott Armstrong, and I'm president of the Koshetz choir. I myself joined the choir in 1980, 13 years old. Started as a first tenor. Now I'm lead baritone. I've been the president of the choir for the last 10 years, at least. That being my second kick at the cat with leadership in the choir. I was very fortunate to have worked in the choir alongside Walter Klimke and some of his contemporaries. I learned amazing things from those people. And I'm so thrilled to be able to pay it forward to the new people now. I feel like a giant bridge between the past of the choir and where the choir is going now.
Talk about your younger days, your youth, and growing up in the bosom of the Ukrainian community in Winnipeg.
I was one of those people who led a dual life with a name like Scott Armstrong. You hide very well within the regular community. But I strongly celebrated all my holidays, was very involved within my church, baptized Ukrainian Orthodox, attended church, been going to church for 51 years. I'm 51 years old. Build on top of that, then it's not just about church. There are other parts of our community. And that's when I was fortunate to, in the 1970s, I saw my mother and my aunt singing with the Koshetz choir. And my aunt did an amazing solo with the Winnipeg Symphony. And at that moment, I just said, I'm joining. Also very strong musical background, did pipe organ primarily, always involved in music, and those were my loves.
Was there ever any doubt that you were good enough to join this choir?
You know, no, because this is not one of those kind of choirs. This is a choir that loves, people who love to sing Ukrainian. We are fortunate that we have some voices that are better and some that aren't, but it doesn't matter. Our choir is about community singing, as much as some people may feel otherwise. I've never felt that intimidation. Having said that, I do know that others do. That's unfortunate. We're not about that.
Tell me about Walter Klimke and his legacy.
He was conductor for 45 years of the first 50.
And why was he a great leader in your way?
Walter had a real passion. Walter's love for the music, his desire was something within him that none of us could duplicate. He led the choir through amazing times. They started as a youth choir. They developed into a regular adult choir. Walter was the one at the forefront of reestablishing relationships with Ukraine. Walter led the choir back to Ukraine for the first time. They went in 1978. It was a real tough experience in the sense that it divided our community locally. We had protests against the choir traveling at a time when Ukraine was under Soviet domination. That didn't stop Walter in the mission of music. There was absolutely no religious music allowed. Everything was censored.
That trip and the splitting of the community and the feeling by some that you shouldn't be going at a time when Ukraine was an imprisoned nation, how was that resolved?
I think time helped resolve what was happening and what the mission was, and that the world wasn't as evil a place, and it was okay to share music at a time when we couldn't share anything else. I was fortunate to travel back with them to Ukraine. I believe it was 1983 was the next time they traveled. It was still a scary time. There was censorship as well. It didn't stop us. A couple of times we got away with doing things that we shouldn't have. By the time we went back in 90 and 93, the world had really changed. I drag us forward to 93 because in 93 when we attended, there was a young music student, Miroslava Patches, who had to attend our concert as part of her training at the Ville State Music Academy there. It's now all these years later, and isn't it amazing? She's now our conductor. So we met her when she was a student in Ukraine. When she left Ukraine, she had no idea that she would ever conduct music again. You know, that was her passion. She was an amazing conductor there. And to land in our lap, having seen us in her, you know, where we were performing in Ukraine, amazing. You know, there's either a God or lots of karma going on out there. You're coming here and talking to us is amazing, and sharing, because we're about sharing music. Our music is available on our website or on our YouTube channel. You know, you want our music, come get us. That's why we're here. So thank you for helping us share.
Spell Koshetz for me.
Koshetz.
Koshetz. Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Take care. Thank you.
Я звуся Мирослава Пачес.
Her name is Miroslava Patches.
Я є диригент Олександр Кошетz хору імені Олександра Кошеця. Так само я є з України і вже досить довгий час тут, в Канаді є. Я роджена на Україні.
Born in Ukraine, a musician by profession.
Викладаю тут в Канаді фортепіано.
She teaches piano, theory,
І диригент.
and she conducts.
Дуже маленьке містечко.
She was born in a very small town called Dubove.
Навіть не є ще містечко, але
Trained in Uzhhorod, the regional capital in that part of Ukraine, and in Lviv. Her father, a priest.
священник.
5 children, she's the oldest.
Дітей я найстарша і єдина, котра так далеко від
Of her family, she is the only one who left
Я вчилася в
Ukraine.
Ужгороді в музичному коледжі, то хор Кошетz приїхав туди.
In 1993, the Koshetz choir visited her part of Ukraine.
Давали концерт.
She, a student, was told it was mandatory to attend.
Кажу по-англійськи, по-українськи примусово mandatory. Примусово для нас іти, ті, що студіювали диригування, хорове диригування і теорію музики. І це ми мусили йти слухати хор, який приїхав з Канади. І я була...
She sat there and says she was amazed.
Це було надзвичайне задоволення.
So I say, sitting there, you probably said, I can someday conduct this choir.
Абсолютно ні. Зовсім не так було.
Absolutely not, she says.
Музику мене скерував тато, щоб я пішла по музиці. Хоч я з дитинства то любила і грала, і все.
First of all, she never really thought she would be a professional musician. It was her father who said she would study music. In that time, in that part of the world, you listened to your father, she says. Never regretted
Я
it.
приїхала сюди, в мене тітка в Канаді була, я приїхала на візит. Але тут так трапилося, що я чоловіка свого зустріла і залишилася на посіду вже в Канаду.
She came to Canada because an aunt invited her here for a visit, met a young Canadian, fell in love, and stayed. So she joined the Koshetz choir.
Знаєте, це
She says the choir was already outstanding when she joined it. If there's anything she has added to it over the years, it was to expand the number of choirs and the kind of repertoire.
Що я нового ввела? Я його більш розширила.
Not only classical music,
Не тільки класичним академічним хором. У нас є і
there's a folk group,
фолк. Так, у нас
a chamber choir,
камерний хор, chamber choir. Музика українська така багата, що можна показати із різного боку.
Ukrainian music is so rich you can show it off in so many forms. Whether you understand music, know how to read it or not, we will find a place for you in one of our many choirs.
Ми маємо дуже багато уже англійців, котрі тільки вміють читати або навіть не вміють читати, але люблять.
Many who join our choir are not Ukrainian. Many Ukrainians don't know how to read Ukrainian. If they want to be a part of us, we, who are of Ukrainian heritage, need to protect our Ukrainian language and songs.
Вона є настільки недооцінена в світі. Я дуже задоволена, що ми маємо таку можливість, як українка.
In closing, she says, I am privileged to be in Canada, living here, and doing what I love.
Гарно.
Nasha Kasha is also a podcast. Subscribe for free at Apple iTunes and at many other podcast distributors. I'm your reporter Stefan Andrusiak, closing out episode number 137, which was recorded in Winnipeg in late October of 2018. Partial funding for Nasha Kasha comes from the Canadian Foundation of Taras Shevchenko. I'll be back in a week. Веселих свят! Щасливого Нового року! До милої зустрічі! За тиждень часу! Дорогі слухачі!